Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is lecture number 11 of Object-Oriented Programming for BSSC second. In this lecture, we are going to discuss a new feature of Object-Oriented Programming, that is operator overloading. This is one of the exciting and most important feature of Object-Oriented Programming. In this lecture, firstly, we try to understand the concept of overloading. Which thing is called overloaded and which thing is called not overloaded with normal capacity load. When someone put extra load on a person, vehicle, animal, or some other thing which is beyond its normal capacity, this action is called overloading and the thing itself is called overloaded. We take an example of truck. This truck is with this normal capacity load because everything is packed within its body. This truck is also within its normal capacity load because everything is on its body and nothing is outside its body. This truck is also is with its normal capacity load because everything, all the luggage, all the items, all the material which it contained is within its body and we are not looking it outside from its body. While in this below row, we are looking three pictures of trucks. First one, it is overloaded truck because it is loading more than 3 times the load of from its capacity. That is, it is loading 2 times extra load. One is within its body, which is the original capacity load, your normal capacity load, while the 2 times load is extra load. This truck is also carrying 2 times more load from its normal capacity. While this truck is overloaded very much, and I think it is carrying more than 4 times load of from its capacity or 6 times load from its normal capacity. These trucks are called overloaded capacity because they are carrying 3 times or 2 times more load from its normal capacity. If this truck will shift this load from target to destination, from source to destination, then it has to travel 3 times from source to destination and will complete and transfer this luggage to its destination position. But in one go, the truck is carrying the total load and supplying the items from source to destination position. Actually, this is the concept of overloading, and these truck are called overloaded truck. This action is called overloading, and the truck are called that this truck is overloaded. This truck is overloaded. This truck is overloaded. Now we understand the concept of operator overloading in our next few slides. Operator overloading. Operator overloading is one of the most exciting features of object-oriented programming. it can transform complex, ambiguous program listings into intuitively obvious one. Obvious one means clears, in the clear form. Complex statements are written in clear form using operator overloading features of object-oriented programming. For example, D1, D2 and D3 are three objects of a class distance. Then the statements like D3.add D1 comma D2. Here D3 is calling the function add and passing the value of D1 and D2 objects are the similar but equally ambiguous. This is ambiguous in first glance. We cannot understand that what is happening here. In this statement, D1 is calling to add function and passing the value of D2 objects, and when the result will return back, it will assign to D3. This is also a complex statement of adding two objects and assigning the result to third object. It can be changed to much more readable form. These two statements can be written in this form, that is D3 is equal to D1 plus D2. This is the most clear pictures of adding two objects and assigning the results to third objects. That is D1 and D2 are adding with each other and the result will be assigned to D3. But this statement cannot be written without applying the feature of object-oriented programming at our program, in our program. We can write the statement like this or this. This statement cannot be written in object-oriented programming without using the concept of operator overloading. When we overload the operator, we can do this because these operators are not able to add two objects. These operators are just able to add standard data like integer, float or characters. The term operator overloading refers to giving the normal C++ operators such as plus, steric, less than or equal to, and plus is equal to, etc. There are so many operators: arithmetic operator, relational operators, or other increment, decrement operator. The term operator overloading refers to giving normal C++ operators such as these operators to additional meaning. Operator overloading gives the additional meaning to these operators when they are applied to user-defined data types. When we use these operators on objects, when we apply these operators on objects, then operator overloading gives them the additional meaning, and then we can use these operators to add, subtract, multiply or compare two objects. Normally, A is equal to B plus C works. This statement works only with basic types such as integer and float. If A, B and C are integer or A, B, C are float, then this statement is okay. There is no error, or the compiler will not complain at this statement. And attempting to apply it when A, B and C are objects of a user-defined class. If A, B, C are not the standard data, that is, they are not integer, they are not float, they are not character, but these A, B, C are objects, user-defined class. These are the objects of user-defined class, will cause complaint error. Compiler will complain error. It will create error here that you cannot add two objects in this fashion because only the standard data can be added, object cannot be added through this plus operator. However, using operators overloading, you can make this statement legal even when A, B and C are user-defined types. When we use the operator overloading feature in our program, then we can use this statement, and if A, B, C are object, then computer will not complain by using this statement. Operator overloading. Operator with predefined standard data types, that is standard variable. Here you may see A, B and C are three integer variable. The value of A is 10, the value of B is 20 and C contains no value. Then when we add A plus B and assign the value to C, computer does not complain or does not create error at this statement. Similarly, computer can add or subtract these two values. The value of A and B can be added. It can also be subtracted because this manus operator is also working on standard data, because A, B, C are integers, standard data. So we can also multiply the value of A and B, that is steric, or the multiplication operator is applying on the standard data, and computer will not create error at this location also. If X and Y and Z are three float variable, then we can add these two variables and assign the value to third variable, because all these three variables are standard and the operators allow to perform operation on standard data. Manus operator and steric operators also allow us to perform subtraction and multiplication operator on standard data, that is float variables. Similarly, I, J and K are three character variables. The value of I is A, the value of J is B. When we add the value of I and J and assign the value to K, computer will not complain, will not create error at this location, and also we can subtract two character variable and we can multiply two character variable, because character is a standard data type and I, J and K are standard variable. So all the operators can perform operations on standard data. Integer is a standard data, float is standard data, character is standard data. But objects are not a standard data. They are the variable of user-defined class. Operator with user-defined data type, that is object. Distance is a name of class. D1 is an object, D2 is another object. This contains 3 feet and 4.5 inches. This contains 5 feet and 3.75 inches. We have also we have already been discussed the distance class in our previous lecture. D3 is an object which has no data. And when we add D1 and D2 and assign the result to D3, then above statement for adding two objects is illegal. This is illegal because without using the feature of operator overloading, we cannot add two objects. We can add the standard data, we can add to float, to integer, to character, but we cannot add two objects. Computer will complain error. Without applying operator overloading feature in OOP, this statement is illegal. Similarly, if we have already discussed the string class, and S1 is the value of S1, which is the object of string class, contains the value Pakistan. S2 is also the object of string class, contains the value Z as Zindabad, and S3 is also the object of string class and contains an empty string. And when we concatenate these two strings, Pakistan and Zindabad, and assign the value of value to S3, then computer complained error at this location, because we cannot add two strings, or we cannot concatenate two strings and assign the value to third string without using the feature of object-oriented programming. Above statement for concatenating two strings is illegal without applying operator overloading feature in OOP. So we study in our next slide, we study what is operator overloading and how it allow the operator to perform operation on objects. Operator overloading, in effect, operator overloading gives you the opportunity to redefine the C++ language. This is the power of operator overloading, that it can totally redefine the C++ language. You can change the environment of C++ language. You can change the operators. You can create new operators. If you find yourself limited by the way the C++ operator works, you can change them to do whatever you want by using classes to create new kinds of variable and operator overloading to create new definitions for operators. This is actually the thing through which we can change the C++ language. That is, you can change them to do whatever you want by doing these two by doing these two kinds of job, by using classes to create new kinds of variable. We will use classes, and we will create the class variables. The class variables are called objects, and these objects will be considered as the new kinds of variables. And how we will perform operation on those new kinds of variables. So we will give new meaning to operators overloading to create new definition. That is new meaning for operators. We will give new meaning to operators, and then those operators will also work on new kinds of variable, that is on objects. You can extend C++ to be in many ways a new language of your own design. That is, you can create it, or you can also develop and also introduce a new language of your own design. Here we will overload the unary operators. We know that unary operators act on only one operand. That is why we call them unary operators. Those operators which act upon or which works on only one operand, that is one variable. An operand is simply a variable acted on by an operator. Operand is an operator a variable, and the operators perform action on that variable. Examples of unary operators are the increment and decrement operator, that is plus plus and minus minus operator. These operators are the increment and decrement operator, and the unary minus, as in minus 33. Minus operator is performing action on 33 and transforming this 33 into negative form. Suppose we have two integer variable int x is equal to 0 and then y. X contains the value, initial value 0, and then we will increment the value of x. Then computer will replace this 0 with 1, and then with 1 with 2, and then this 2 will be replaced with 1 when we decrement it. So x is initially 0. This 0 is the initial value of x. When we perform this operation x plus plus, then x increment in the memory, in the value stored in the memory location in the memory of x is 0, and it is incremented to 1. Again we apply x plus plus, that is the value of 1 will be incremented to 2, and this will be overwrite with 2. And when we perform the operation of x minus minus, then computer decrement this 2, and the final value of x becomes 1 after decrementing 2. When we assign the value minus 5 to y, 5 is a positive digit, and this minus is transforming or converting it into negative form, and then assign the value to y, y becomes minus 5. This is actually how the increment and decrement operator and the unary operator Also, the malus operator perform operation on single operand. Behavior of prefix and postfix increment notation on standard data. This increment and decrement operators can be applied in either in prefix notation or in postfix notation. So here we see the actions of increment, prefix and postfix notation on standard data, not on the object. However, prefix and postfix increment operator works on standard int type variable. Let we have x, y, two integer variable with values as under int x is equal to 5, y is equal to 4. These are the two values. X is equal to 5 and y is equal to 4. These are two values. So then the behavior of the prefix and postfix increment notation shown below. Here you may see x is equal to 5, y is equal to 4. Plus x mean prefix and post both notations have same effect, that is x is equal to x plus 1. Plus x mean x is equal to x plus 1. That is the previous value of x is 5. 5 plus 1 it will become 6 and the new value of x becomes 6. This 6 will be the new value of x. Here this is the postfix notation. This is the prefix. Increment operator is before the variable x. Here the increment operators are after the variable x. So this is postfix notation. In this notation, the meaning of this notation is x is equal to x plus 1. That is same effect like prefix notation. Here the computer will take the previous value of x, that is 5, and will add 1 with it and assign the new value to x and it becomes 6. It means if as a single statement we use the prefix and postfix notation, then it will perform the same operation like x is equal to x plus 1 here in prefix and x is equal to x plus 1 here in postfix. But when we use it into another expression, that is y is equal to plus x, here plus x mean x is equal to x plus 1 and its results will be added with y, and here we are also adding the postfix x notation, increment notation with y. Here we are adding prefix and here we are adding postfix notation. What the computer will do here? In prefix notation, computer will increment, x will increment itself first. It will become x is equal to x plus 1, that is the value of x is 5, the value of x is for 6 now, because it has been converted 6 from this line of code, and now the value of x in memory is 6. 6 will increment itself, 6 plus 1 will become 7 and it will store in the memory of x. So x will become 7 and then this value of x, that is 7, will be added with the value of y 4. 7 will be added with 4 and the new value of y will become here 11. New value of y is 11 here. This statement means this statement consists of these two statements. This is a composite statement and contains the effect of these two statements. While in case of postfix notation, what happened here? Here the y is equal to y plus x. X will be added with y and will assign the new value to y first and then x will increment itself. In postfix notation, the x will increment after adding its old value with y. It will increment itself after that operation. You may see here the value of x is 6. 6 will be added. 6 will be added with 4. X will be added with y. 6 will be added with 4 and the value will be assigned become 10 and 10 will be assigned to y. The new value of y is 10 and then x is equal to x plus 1. The value of x is 6. 6 plus 1 is equal to 7 and the new value of x will become 7 and x will increment itself later. In postfix notation it will work like this. This is prefix notation, this is the first, if we apply the prefix and postfix notation like this, in the first statement it will work same, while when we will apply, we will use the increment and the prefix and postfix notation within another expression, then it will perform its original meaning of prefix and postfix. Prefix means increment x before adding its value with y. Postfix means add the old value with y and then increment itself. Counter class coding. Here we are going to add, we are going to overload the increment operator, increment counter variable with plus operator. Hash include iostream.h, hash include converter. These are the two header file class counter. Private, in private section and public section. In private section we have only a single variable, integer variable. The name of this variable is count. While in public section we have a constructor, because counter is the name of class, and if a function contains the same name as that of class name, it will be the constructor of that class. So it is constructor and it is assigning a value 0 to count variable. Here int get count. Whenever an object will call this function will return the value of count. Whatever the value of count will be at that time, it will return that value. So its return type is integer, the count variable is integer, so it will return the value of count, that's the integer value. Here the plus operator, it will increment the count variable and will store the result in the memory of count. Void operator plus. This is prefix notation of increment operator, and whenever an object will call this function, that's the operator function, it will increment the count memory of that object. This is the main program coding for counter class implementation. How we will implement this class, counter class? We have our main program in which we will create the two objects of counter class. This is the previous slide. This is the class which we have created. We have defined in previous slide. C1 and C2 are its two objects, because class contains a single variable count. So it will assign the memory of count to two objects, that is C1 and C2. C1 counter class will assign the count memory to C1. This is the memory of count, and also assign the memory of count to C2. Because this object contains nothing, so the counter constructor, this constructor will be activated and it will assign the value 0 to count of C1 and 0 to count of C2. So the count of C1 contains 0 initially by activating the constructor, and count of C2 also contains the value 0 because of activating the constructor. Here count C1 is equal to C1.get count. C1 is calling get count, and get count will return the value of its count. The value of its count is 0, so it will return here 0. And here C2 is equal to C2.get count. C2 is calling get count, and here the get count will return the value of count variable, which is here attached with C2. So both the value will be the output of both the value will be 0 0. C1 is equal to 0 and C2 is equal to 0. Here we will apply the operation of increment prefix notation 3 times, and then we will display one time we are incrementing the C1 object, and 2 times we are incrementing the C2 object, and then we will display here the value of C1 and C2 by calling the get count and get count function C1 and C2. The operator keyword, how do we teach a normal C++ operator to act on a user-defined operator? Here, you may see that we are using a keyword operator, and this is the name of function. We cannot use any symbols for as a name of function, but when we use the keyword operator, then computer understand that is the symbols which we are using here after this keyword is an operator. So computer allow the symbols as a function name because we are using the keyword operator with this symbols. Here the operator keyword. How do we teach a normal C++ operator to act on a user-defined operand? The keyword operator is used to overload the plus plus operator in this declarator. We have used this statement in our previous class, counter class, void operator plus plus this. The return type void. This is the return type of function. That function plus plus will not return any value. Comes first. This is the first keyword which we used as a return type of any function, followed by the keyword operator. After this we will use the keyword operator, followed by the operator itself, that is plus plus. This is the name of function. We are using this operator and we are overloading this operator. So, and finally the argument list enclosed in parenthesis. Here in parenthesis there is nothing, so we are not using any argument by calling this plus plus operator, which are empty here. The declarator syntax tells the compiler to call this member function whenever the plus plus operator is encountered, provided the operand, the variable operand on by the plus plus is of type counter. That is, when we call this plus plus operator, if the operand used with this plus plus operator is an object of counter class, then it will be activated. Otherwise, for a standard data type, this operator will not activate it. The way the compiler can distinguish between overloaded operator is by looking the data type of their operand. If the operand is a basic type, that is int var is equal to 0, the value of var is an integer variable and its value is 0, so we can apply plus plus var, that is prefix notation, on var. The value of var will be incremented and it will become from 0 to 1. Then the compiler will use its built-in routine. At this location, plus plus var, at this stage, the computer will call built-in routine to increment an integer variable. Var is an integer variable and it will increment var, and here it will call a built-in increment routine. There is a function in the library of computer, and at this location, at this stage, computer will call that library function. But if the operand is a counter variable, that is an object, the compiler will know to use our user-defined return operator plus plus. This operator will be called if the operand with plus plus operator is an object, then this function will be called in response of that statement where we are using plus plus operator with an object. Look at here, int x is equal to 0. This is standard data type. X is an integer variable and the initial value of x is 0. Counter is the name of our class, and C1 is an object of counter class. Then plus plus x, here if we write plus plus x, because x is a standard data type, computer will make link here, make link with built-in compiler library. There is many functions in the library of C compiler, so there is also a function with name plus plus, and computer will make the link of that plus plus at this stage. But when we will use plus plus C1, C1 is an object of counter class. Here computer will not activate the library function plus plus, but it will make link with class function void operator plus plus. Class contains a function with this interface. So this is the operator function, and here the compiler will attach or link this statement with this operator function, not with the library function. Here the computer will make the link with the library. Here the computer will make the link with the class operator functions, because this is object and this is standard data, that is integer data. Operator argument. Here in main, the plus plus operator is applied to a specific object as in expression plus plus C1, yet operator plus plus takes no argument. What does this operator increment? It increments the count data in the object of which it is a member. You may see here plus plus C1. This statement causes this function to increment this count. So count is a variable which is assigned to this object. C1 is an object of counter class, and counter class will assign the memory of count to this C1 object. So this count belongs to this C1, and when in main program we write plus plus C1, this statement causes this function of class to be called. So this function will be called void operator plus plus in response of this plus plus C1. This function will be called, and this function increment plus plus count. This function increment one integer value in the memory of this count, because this operator contains no argument. So this is prefix notation of increment operator. There is another postfix notation of increment operator. It increments the count data in the object of which it is a member, since member function can always access the particular object for which they have been invoked. This operator requires no argument. This is shown in figure 1. In figure 1 we have shown that C1 contains no argument, because this function is not and there is no requirement of this function that a value should be passed to this function. So C1 has no argument, and this operator demands no argument for calling it. Postfix notation. Previously, here we have written the prefix notation. Plus plus C1 increment the C1 0 value incremented into 1. So computer replaces the 0 with 1. Then we have again called plus plus C2. The C2, this function is called for C2, and plus plus count which is here with C2, it will be incremented, and from 0 to it will become 1, and again plus plus C2. At this location the plus plus operator is called again, and that will increment the value of C count attached with C2. This plus when we will call plus plus C2, this when we call this function operator function, here it is incrementing count. This count is attached. This count is that count. This specific count belongs to that count which is here with C2. So this will be incremented from 1 to 2. The final value of C2 will be count will be 2. So when we will write C1 is equal to C1 dot get count and C2 is equal to C2 dot get count, here computer will return 1, and the output will be C1 is equal to 1, and at response of c2.getCount. The getCount is a function. This function will return the value of count which is attached with c2. So the count attached with c2 contains the value 2, so it will return the value 2 here, and computer will display c2 is equal to 2. Now we study postfix notation. So far we have shown the increment operator used only in its prefix form plus plus c1. Now we are trying to write an object in this form c1 plus plus. That's postfix notation. This is prefix notation, this is postfix notation. What about postfix when the variable is incremented after its value is used in an expression c1 plus plus? To make both versions of increment operator work, we define two overloaded plus plus operator as shown in postfix notation. That is, we will overload plus plus for prefix and we will also load plus plus for postfix notation. Here you may see this is our old counter class. Private section of class contains a variable named count. This is the memory of count. Class contains only an integer memory location assigned to count or attached with count. Public section contains two constructor. This is the counter constructor because the name of class is counter. This is constructor and this is also a constructor. This is lower argument constructor, so it will assign the value 0 to each count whenever an object will call this counter constructor, and when an object will contain a value, it will pass to this counter constructor, and this counter constructor will assign that value to count attached with that object, that specific object who is calling this counter constructor. Int getCount, similarly it is returning the value of count. Counter operator plus plus, this is the operator which is returning its value, and this is the prefix notation of plus plus operator. When we define plus plus operator in its prefix notation, there we use nothing in the parentheses of plus plus operator, so it will return a nameless temporary object plus plus count. Count will increment itself and will create an object here, and that the value of that object will be returned to main program. So the return type of this prefix notation of increment operator is counter, so it will return the value of object. In our previous version of counter class, we have used here the word void. It is not returning any value, but in the new version we are returning the value of an object from this prefix notation. So the data type of this operator function is not void, but it is counter. So here this is the postfix notation. The difference of prefix and postfix notation is this, that whenever computer see this indicator, this int does not mean integer data type, but it is an indicator through which a computer understand that this is prefix notation. When we use the prefix notation with an object, this function will be called, and when we will use postfix notation of increment with an object, this function will be called in the response of that postfix notation. This function increment operator function is also returning the value of an object because its return type is the name of class. So it will create a temporary object here and will return that the value of that nameless temporary object. Here you may see it is incrementing count variable first, and then will return the value of the new value of count to main program. While here the computer will make a temporary object of counter class with old value of count and will return that value, and after returning the value it will increment itself. That is, the new value will not be returned to main program, the old value will return to main program, and after that the computer will increment the count variable. Here you may see the difference of this is main program, and main program will call this increment operator and prefix and postfix notation of increment operator from the class. It will also call the get count. It will also use these two constructors. So in main program we have two variables, two objects, C1 and C2 of counter class. So the counter class contains the memory of only count. So this count value will assign to C1 and also will assign to C2. So C1 contains the memory of count, C2 also contains the memory of count, because this is the memory which a class counter class contains. In response of C1 and C2, the counter class will assign the value of count to C1 and C2, and also because C1 and C2 contains no value, so no argument constructor will be called for C1 and C2, and it will assign the value 0 to count of C1 and the value 0 to count of C2. So this starting value 0 of count attached with C1, this value is given to count by the constructor, and this value of 0 given to count attached with C2 is also by the constructor of a counter class. Here when we display the value C1.getCount, computer return the value of value of count attached with C1, and its value is 0. Computer writes C1 is equal to 0, and when we call C2.getCount, computer call the getCount function, and getCount function return the value of count attached with C2. The value of that count is 0. It will also return here 0. Computer will display C2 is equal to 0. C1 is equal to 0, C2 is equal to 0. After that we are calling plus C1. Here the computer will call the prefix notation of counter class. This is the prefix notation of counter class. Computer will call it. Here this function, here the count will be incremented first. The value of count is 0. It will become 1 by this increment operator, and this counter class will create a nameless object and return back. Here the value of nameless object will be returned, but it will not be displayed because we are not using it here. Just it will be discarded, but the status of count with C1 become from 0 to 1. Here we are again incrementing plus using C++, using the prefix notation and calling prefix versions of increment operator from the class. C1 is calling, so here you may see this operator will be called. It will increment the count of C1 contains the value 1. It will be increment and will become 2, and that 2 value will be returned to main program, and that 2 value will assign to C2. That default copy constructor will work here, and it will copy the value of C1 count to the memory of count attached with C2. It will become from 0 to 2. Here you may see that after 0 it has jumped to 2 because C1 has given value to C2. It becomes C Here it has incremented first. We will say here it will increment it later. Will give old value to C2 and will increment itself later on. Here it incremented first and give a value to C2, and then incremented value is assigned to C2. Here the old value will be assigned to C2 because it is postfix notation. When we will display here, C1 will display that C1.getCount. GetCount will return the value 2. Computer will display here to C2 is equal to C2.getCount. GetCount will return the value of count attached with C2. The value is 2. It will be returned. Computer will let C1 is equal to 2, C2 is equal to 2 for prefix notation. Here we are using postfix notation. The value of C1 is 2. Here we are calling postfix notation. You may see in the main program, in the class of counter class, this is postfix notation. In response of that statement, this statement will be called, and this counter, this count variable contains the value, old value 2. It will create a nameless object with its old value 2, and will return it to main program, and then it will increment itself and the value of count will become 3. Old value of count is 2. It will create an object and return the old value to main program, and it will increment later itself and the count will become 3 after returning value. So the old value will be returned, assigned to C2. This value of C2, new value of C2 is again 2, but C1 has the count attached with C1 become 3 because this statement after returning the value make the value of C1 incremented the value of count attached with C1 because C1 is calling postfix notation. So the count attached with C1 will be incremented later at that location, and when we'll count C1 is equal to C1.getCount and C2 is equal to C2.getCount, the computer will display in all 6 statement of count. Computer will display this value C1 0 0, C2 0 0, C1 2 2, C1 C2 2, C1 3, C2 2. This is the last memory updated in the count of C1 and count of C2 by in response of postfix notation. Now there are two different declarators for operator overloading. The plus plus operator, the one we have seen before for prefix notation, in counter operator plus plus. This is the syntax of prefix notation. The new one for postfix notation is counter operator plus plus int. Here only the difference that is we are using int for postfix notation. This is the declarator of postfix, this is the declarator of prefix. The only difference is the int in the parenthesis. Nothing is here. The difference from prefix to postfix is there. In postfix notation we are using the word int here. This int is not really an argument and it does not mean integer. It is simply a signal, an indicator to compiler to create the postfix version of operator. Computer signals to compiler. Computer understand this postfix notation, this prefix notation. This is the output of the main program. End of lecture number 11. Thanks. Allah Hafiz.